I'm not gonna have a really fulfilling future if like I continue like living like this, you know. If I like I'm not gonna find happiness, I'm not gonna like be content with a woman. So staring in the mirror, about to take a bath, and I was like, you know what? This is just too much. Like I can't really do it. So that night was the night I decided I was just gonna take my life and just kind of like have an escape. So my idea was I was just gonna sit in the bathtub and just like drown myself. First attempt, I came back up because I forgot to pee. Uh, got that out the way. Second time, I was like, okay, this is fine, I'll do it. Went down, and then the image of my baby brother came into my head. He was born before high school, or before I entered high school. So I'm really older than him. Hold on, how old was he when I did this? Okay, he was like 4 or something. And so I thought about him, and I just like kind of came up, collected myself. I was like, wow, that was a weird feeling. Like I never wanted to do that before. And then got out, decided to take a shower instead, and then just like went to bed. And funny enough, the next day, my uncle called me. He said, hey, I heard you're having a hard time. I was just wondering if you wanted to live with me. I'll pay for your classes. You can use my car. You can live with me rent-free, and just find a job, and we'll be good. And so within a week, I moved out. I didn't really say bye to my parents. I was just like, hey, I'm just going to leave for a while. We'll see you at Thanksgiving. And living with my uncle was really, really beneficial. Like the real thing I needed was just be out of that environment. And I had like a lot of talks with my uncle. He was divorced with my aunt for about 5 years at that time. I never knew why, so we had a talk one day. He explained to me his issues and things he was going through, and I was talking about mine, and then he became the first family member I ever came out to. And his reaction was, well, yeah, no shit, like I've known since you were 15. And he was, I'm just glad you finally figured it out. I was like, cool, that's awesome, thank you so much. And so at that time, I was like, it's about time like I accepted it. I'm just going to not lie about it anymore, but also I'm not ready to just go out and tell the world, write this long Facebook post like, hey, everybody was right, I am gay. But yeah, so that's like mentality. So I got really busy with school my first semester at a community college. I got my first job, which was at Target. And so during this time, I was like, you know what, I need to like leave Vegas, because I did leave at my parents' house, but I'm still living under like another parental figure who I'm related to. So I just kind of just need to be on my own and like figure this out. So I talked to a recruiter about how many credits do I need to like go to UNR, because it's gonna be cheaper. I'll get the Millennium. It'll just be better financially. And she's like, you can just apply as a high school graduate with some college credits, because I wasn't full time my first semester. I only took like 6 credits. And so I decided to go that route. So got on the phone with my advisor, dorm situation, just basically figured everything out within that semester, so that spring semester I could come up here. And so that winter break, I was kind of having a bunch of goodbye gatherings. My best friends from high school would come over a lot. We'd play pool table, watch movies, just a bunch of stuff. But one night, someone had the idea to raid my uncle's liquor cabinet. And my uncle doesn't drink at all. He just has a lot of house parties, and whoever brings alcohol, he just kind of keeps it. So one of my good friends on my cross-country team was like, hey, let's just try something new tonight. So I've never been drunk before. And so we took a few beers, that's all it took. And I was sitting on top of the pool table, listing off the hottest guys from our track team. And it's explaining to everyone why I never wanted to see a vagina, because I was scared it would look like an Arby's sandwich between someone's legs. That's legit what I thought it looks like. And I'm really sorry to people who have vaginas in this room. But don't worry, it took sex ed, I know, but still. Yeah, and then the next morning, my uncle came, busted us. We didn't get in trouble. He was just like, all right, no one can leave, you'll have to stay home. You're all trash. I was like, I only had 2 beers. He's like, I know, that's all you need to stay home. And so, lucky for me, none of my friends made a big deal about it. We didn't really talk about it because they kind of figured I wasn't ready to talk about it, but they were really non-judgmental, which was awesome. And so the next family member I ever came out to, so by the way, this kind of started a trend for me. I was only able to come out if I was really drunk, which is not very healthy. I don't recommend it. Because the following day, I come home from work, it's really late, and my cousin, who was like like one of my best friends growing up, and her best friend were in the living room, and I come home, my uncle's at home, and she's like, hey, I heard you drink now. So she takes out this bottle of Ciroc, and we start just taking their first shot. So I was like, you know what? I'm cool, we're finally friends, let's just do it. So next thing I remember is she's under our indoor basketball hoop, just like laying down crying. I'm like on top of her, it's like, it's okay, because I just came out to her. And and it was just kind of funny because that was like the first time we ever like connected that deep, and it was like the first time I ever seen her cry. And I was just trying to comfort her, I was just trying to comfort me. She's like, like I should have known, like, because I also told her about like my whole bathroom had a pee suicide attempt. And but yeah, she was crying, and she was like, like I should have been there for you, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, it's okay, like you're good. Also, I've never felt this way. Can I go like sleep now? First time I ever puked, which was fun. And so, yeah, so after that winter break, I came up here to UNR. Came up riding with a good friend from, I missed it. Oh, damn. Okay. All right, the pictures are horrible, but the trip was fun, so that's all that matters. But yeah, so I rolled up to UNR. I missed my orientation day, and I never did Nevada bound, so I really had no clue where anything was. So basically, I showed up with clothes in my hamper, found my dorm key, got my Wolf card, and the next day I started classes. And I've kind of been stumbling around campus ever since, just trying to figure out where shit is. And so far, it's kind of worked out. And so in one of my classes, well, first of all, like being in a new city like this and just not knowing too many people kind of just makes you feel, one, a sense of freedom, two, just like a oh shit, like what was I thinking? Like, I don't know anybody here, this is crazy. And but luckily in one of my classes, I got to know this guy who was also gay. He was a lot older than me, he was about to graduate, and we started getting close and hanging out a lot. This didn't turn into like a romantic relationship, I was just newly out, and then he made it clear that he didn't want to date me either, and I was like, that's fine, I don't want to date you, and just kind of went from there. But he had a similar background as I did, except for his was kind of worse. He had from like a huge Mormon family. He had been through kind of a lot surrounding that. He like went on a mission in South America, had to come back because he was gay, like just like a lot of stuff. I'm like, holy crap. And then I always felt stupid about crying. Well, one time I got bullied for not being able to play basketball. And then, yeah, so we got really close for that semester. He was kind of like my mentor. He was honestly like my first gay friend, which was really important for me because I was still trying to figure everything out. He'd give me advice on like sex. Pretty much his advice was not to have it. I was like, why not? So I did. And he was like, you're stupid. I was like, but it's fun. And yeah, so he's like my big brother figure. And then he took me to SF for my first time as like like congrats, like freshman year, we're gonna go to like the gayest place I know, I'm gonna coach you. That was kind of his mentality. And it was a lot of fun. And then I came home that summer, the whole summer, and we still kept in touch. And then the fall semester, so my first semester, sophomore year, we went on a trip to Los Angeles to a concert. And during that trip, some stuff went down. We had a huge argument, made the rest of the trip really awkward. And then on the ride home, we had another argument, and it was just silent the whole rest of the way. And that's a 7-hour trip, so if you ever make that drive, make sure you like the person you're driving with. And it was like crazy. Like I never like yelled or like hated someone for something they did for that much. I won't go into what he did. It's kind of I don't know, it's weird. Like I never talked about it, so just don't really want to get into it. But so when I came back, basically told him have a nice life. Haven't talked to him since. And during that time also, I was kind of having those feelings and emotions that I was having back in when I graduated high school, kind of what led up to me wanting to escape. And I was like really afraid that I was going to do it again. So I decided to seek help. I talked to a counselor on campus. And this counselor was also a gay man. Made me really uncomfortable at first because my only experiences with gay men was just more of like, one for sex, two, like I tried to be friends with one and it just ended really bad. So I didn't really have like a trusting connection at first, but the more we talked and he worked with me, the more I was able to like explain a lot of things. And he recommended me this book that kind of really changed my perspective on a lot of things. It's called The Velvet Rage. I recommend you read it, even if you're not gay. If you know someone who is, or who might be dealing with all that stuff, it's just a really good book. And in the book, it talks about just really like recognizing and understanding your own emotions and how they kind of like develop, how they're important for your development and how they kind of shape the rest of your life. And I know that's a little confusing. So kind of an example diagram. So the book talks about how there's basically 5 kind of like guidance systems, 5 basic emotions. So each emotion, which is anger, sadness, joy, fear, and shame. And each of these emotions kind of have like an action or like an urge to them. So for anger, your first reaction is like strike out. So like whatever happens, either that could be violently or however way you handle anger, that's like the reaction. And sadness, you deactivate. You know, if you're ever sad or you know someone who's sad, you notice they get, withdrawn. You don't really see them that often. And then joy is the opposite, you activate. Kind of think of someone who's at like a wedding. There's a lot of like singing, dancing, people are just involved with what's going on. Fear was flight, like you want to avoid fear. And the main thing I'm trying to talk about is shame. And when you feel shame, your first instinct is to hide. And so this book really went into a theory called like shame-based trauma, to where if you're ashamed of something about yourself, you hide from it, and you hide from things that trigger that shame. So for me, it was obviously homosexuality, and I noticed reading through this book kind of a lot of things that like went parallel with what the book was talking about and my life as well. It was just talking about how like kind of like the coping mechanisms that you'd like develop, like you put up a facade, you pretend to be someone you're not, you lie a lot. In high school, I was kind of a compulsive liar. I'm better now, I tell the truth, don't worry. And it's just like really brought to light kind of a lot of the stuff that I was experiencing. It's just really nice to see like something was written, like someone's been through this so that I can like learn from it, which is really cool. And then it was around this time too where I started like drinking a lot more, and and which wasn't good because like I wasn't drinking to have a good time. I was drinking to like really like avoid kind of the stuff I was going through. And same for sex. It was drinking and sex were like my vices, which my therapist kind of sat down and talked to me. Was like, hey, dude, like, is there a difference between having fun or is there a difference between like finding validation through sex because you can't do it yourself? And that took me a long time to learn to like not seek like outside, like affection from people, one, you don't know, two, who don't really care about you. And so that was a lesson that I learned. Like, it took me a while to learn that, and I finally did, which I was thankful for. And yeah, so hold on, let's go look at these real quick. I sound like I'm trailing off. That's because I am. But yeah, so after that, kind of fast forward to like junior year of college, so about a year ago, I still was dealing with like the feelings that I had, like not feeling like I can really connect because I didn't really feel like I didn't have anyone in my life who understood what I was going through, meaning like I couldn't connect to like another gay person. But I was making, fortunate enough to make a lot of good friends through my job, which was really cool. They're all right there. And we, last summer 2016, we took a trip to San Francisco for Gay Pride. Thank you, Renee, for driving. And this was my first time ever going to like a gay thing, a gay-centered event. I don't know if that's politically correct. There's a lot of gay everywhere. And I was like really like excited to go. I was like, you know what, like I'll get to see more people. And so we went, had a blast, took a lot of pictures. And I remember on the way home, I wanted to post a picture of myself, which was one of the first ones. Oh God. I thought that looked good. That's like was worse. So I posted this picture of me with this like huge rainbow flag on my shirt, standing in front of like this brick wall with a caption like, don't be afraid of who you are, something dumb like that. And then I posted it, and then my dad liked it. And my dad never likes my pictures. So I knew like this kind of like meant something, and I was like, you know what, it's fine. I finally got 100 likes on a picture, so I'm just gonna thanks Dad for the like. And then and so I didn't really think too much of it until a few weeks later, actually. My brother calls me and he's like, hey, what's up, bro? How's it going? I was like, it's good. How are you? He's like, I'm great, I'm great. So you're gay, right? I was like, yeah, you got me. He's like, okay, cool. I really don't care. I just want to give you a heads up. Dad saw your pictures at Pride, and he sat me down and let me know that I wasn't welcome home if my lifestyle was going to affect him and our youngest brother. And I was like, okay, disappointed but not surprised. And so that kind of made it really awkward because that phone call was given to me around the time when I was supposed to go home. And so I was just kind of expecting just like a really big confrontation from my dad. It never happened. So I just kind of, what's the good word for that? Kind of like, I guess ignored his opinions. Like if you feel so strongly about something that your son is doing, but you can't talk to your son about it, then I'm not gonna like really respect what your ideas about me are, because you couldn't take the time out to like talk to me about it. And I know I'm putting my parents in a really bad light. I love them, they're great. They give me food for money every few weeks, which is good. And yeah, so I guess fast forward to now, senior year. I'm not gonna graduate, I'll graduate eventually. I am in a lot better place. I'm surrounded by people who I can actually open up to when like feelings like that ever arise. Like I still struggle with it. I get particularly upset whenever I see people who are constantly, calling their parents, get care packages from their parents, because I kind of feel like left out in that sense. But God, ending things are weird. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that if you ever like are experiencing stuff like that, not specifically like if you're gay and you can't talk about it, just things of that nature, it's really important to reach out, even though, because I was really surprised about the amount of support I got from coming out. From that Instagram post I posted, a lot of friends from high school who I thought were just like really religious, macho masculine, turned out to be some really close friends who sometimes will send me snaps from parties in Vegas, be like, hey, this guy's gay, like, what do you think? I was like, I don't know, can you hold it straight? Like, but it's really fun. But yeah, so you never know who's really on your side, and I've been really fortunate with the people who I've met here, people from back home, and just in like a lot better, happier place. Eventually, I'm sure I will have that conversation with my parents. The whole asking, so where's your girlfriend? When you're at the Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know if I'm ready to come out yet to my parents, mainly because I like not paying for my phone bill and health insurance. But it's gonna happen one day, and I just have a lot of confidence knowing that like I've had enough experience here in college and have met a lot of amazing people to where that conversation is gonna be a lot easier for me than it would be if things went down differently in high school and middle school. So be nice to the gay kids and have a great night. Thank you. No? Oh, okay.
Questions?
Oh, no. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering, I know that you said that you haven't had that talk with your parents. Have you ever touched base again, either with your brother or your uncle again, or any other family member, or even your friends that like you originally came out to?
Mm-hmm.
Have you like ever touched base and
like giving like an update?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just kind of like talk to them about it if they ever like had any other like curiosities about it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny to mention. My aunt kind of just recently, the one who was married to my uncle, we were talking on the phone, and like I knew she knew, and we kind of had like that actual conversation where I was like, yeah, I'm gay. Like, you know, when I was living with, you know, my uncle, he kind of helped me out, coming out with it, and she was, oh, that's really awesome. And she started asking like really embarrassing questions. She's like, so like top bunk, bottom bunk. I was like, oh my god, like this woman like wiped my diapers. I'm not telling you. And so yeah, it's like positive. It's really positive. Going back to like the people who know back home, like my cousins, my aunt, my uncle, and just like a few friends from high school. So yeah, I guess I did kind of touch base. Yeah.
When was the last time you felt like you had to like openly lie about your sexuality? A while ago?
Wow, that's a good question. A job interview? No. It was it had to have been before I came here. Definitely before I came to Reno, because here I've never told anybody. No, I'm not. I must have been like a classmate in like high school, most likely. Interesting about that though, like you never stop coming out to people. Like constantly, like you have to be like, oh yeah, I'm gay or something like that. I remember one time, this was like a long time ago. One of my roommate's friends was over, and we're all hanging out in the living room, and some girl comes on in one of the commercials and like taps me. Was like, yeah, dude, like that's something about her boobs or something. I don't know. And then I was like, okay, that's cool, good for you. That's awesome. I'm glad you like that. And then he just kind of looked at me weird, and I was like, God, do I have to explain it? And so just like instances like that, it's just kind of awkward, but like I don't lie about it anymore. Yeah.
What was the book called again?
Oh, The Velvet Rage by Alan Downs. That's what I did. Yes.
Okay, that's an awkward question. It goes back to the wet dream.
Good.
I just want a little bit more detail. So you said that was like the first time you came out to your parents. Did you like tell them you had like a dream about a man or something, or is that like why? Is that weird?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I knew the dream was weird. It was like, okay.
You don't have to.
It was like nothing like too bad. It was just like, yeah, I kind of like told my mom, I was like, hey, I had a dream, like this guy was shirtless and he was just like laying on a bed, and I just had this like really weird like, I wanted to be next to him. And then, and so yeah, it's like basically what I told my mom. I told her the dream. She's like, oh, you're fine. It's just a phase. You'll be good in a few years. Just let it like ride out. Yeah. Yeah, still figuring it out. Yeah, just waiting for the right girl. No, I'm just kidding.
You could have any of your family members here right now. Which one would it be?
My uncle, for sure. It's really funny. He'd make a lot more jokes. Yeah, my uncle.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Come on, guys. Thank you so much. Sam was, I didn't know what to expect, but your story is powerful, and just so that we're supposed to have two speakers today, but the other speaker canceled because she wasn't ready to come out. It takes a lot to come in front of people and just share your story. So, Sam, thank you. It means a lot to me. Thank you. Another powerful story. I know it has a lot of God expenses and stuff. That's probably something I might have to do with it. But really resonates here. And our aim here at our story is to share this stories with students here on campus. And just let people know it's comfortable for you to talk about anything. Just hearing him talk about drowning took me back to when I had like flashbacks of just taking my life back home in Nigeria. And, you know, moments like that when you're at that point, you just want to talk to someone. You know, you just need someone in your life to be able to go up to and just say, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm thinking about. And just having, when you look around and you don't have anybody, it's just heartbreaking. I know how it feels like. So thanks for sharing. If you are going through anything, you need someone to talk to, we're here. I'm here. I can be your friend. You can go to the counseling services. Funny enough, next week we're actually partnering, our story will be partnering with counseling services and the DRC. And our event next week will be about, we'll be talking about pregnancy and what's the other one? Can you just go? Well, we talk about disabilities, pregnancy, sexual assault, and we'll be going deep, and you hear a lot of people share stories, and trust me, it's hard. Like, I was speaking to a student on campus here with disability, and she just looked at me, she was like, do you know how many people talk to me in my class?